Hey, welcome back to the Build It Basement. Today, got some new stuff over here, and we're working on AB idlers on this. Should be a pretty quick video. Not too much to do here on the V0.1 with the AB idlers, but wanted to get the video out there. Somebody's bound to have a question at some point in time, so let's jump right in it. All right. Actually, before we get too deep into this video, let's go back a little bit here. I did skip ahead a little bit. On these preloaded nuts, I did attach my AB drives on the printer. So that was done. Let me see if I get you what you need here. So I did attach these two on here. There isn't much to it. The instructions, you got basically 5 screws to hold them down. Your very back screw to the nub that comes up, that's going to be for the hat area, actually goes in to your frame, your extrusion here on the back, so it ties into there, ties into extrusions that come into that, so it locks everything right in place. So I just want to mention that real quick before we jump too far ahead, and let's get on with it again. All right, so forward here, our AB idlers. I'm going to set the printer aside. So the idlers basically are for your belts. So your belt's going to go around when they're being driven, and basically just like we did with the drives, we're going to have to build ourselves some bearings and put those together to make up the actual idlers so they can spin freely. So let's do it. All right, so parts needed for this. Put this in place so you can see it. We need our plastic, so right there. Right, pulled out some parts here. That's what we need. That, and that. These two. Yep. Let's make sure I get the right part. So a tall and a small. Okay. Tall and small again. Okay. That's what we're going to be using. It's kind of odd that they're different sizes. You would suspect that they'd be the same. Didn't know where my camera was for a second there. Suspect they'd be the same, but they're a little bit different, so no worries there. We got them out. And then for parts, we also need our M3 shims. Looks like we're going to need 4 of those in total. So our shim washers, shim washers, whatever you want to call them. Again, the difference between a washer and a shim is pretty much that a shim is a standardized 2-spec size, whereas a washer is a stamped piece of metal. These particular washer shims say washer shim on them, so LDO kit, that's what they came as. We're also going to need some more of our F623 bearings, which tend to come in these little neat little packages like this. So pull those out. These come pre-greased. They're sealed as far as I know, or they're usually sealed. Oh, almost dropped that one. Yeah, these look sealed. I mean, you could soak these in something if you wanted to, but it's not going to buy you much in terms of getting any additional longevity out of them. So it feels a little. Anyways, okay, so we're going to need. How many of these are we going to need? We're going to need 4 of these. So 1, 2, skip a few, 3, 4. Put the rest back in here so we don't lose them. Back in there. And what's next here? We need some M3 by 35. So I pulled those. Let's confirm real quick these are the right ones. And let's see. Yep. Want 2 M3 by 35s, and putting these through, it looks like we are, again, like we did before, we're putting them through the let's zoom in a little bit here. We're putting through the high end on this, and they're going to ride through and go through to the flat end of the surface. So basically the screw head is going to fall in beyond like that. And they're both going to be pretty much the same when it comes to that, right? Like that. 1 and 2. Okay. And one thing odd here. What's going on there? Looks like one actually sticks through further than the other, which I guess makes sense because of the fact of the difference in the size of those. So that's good. All right, now the bearing setups on these, much the same as they were before in the other ones. We're simply going to, actually I'm going to do this first. I'm going to grab a screw, put it behind it so it doesn't fall out. Hold it like that in my hands, and we're going to put a shim in like that. That's going to hold the bearing away from the ABS plastic as we're building, and then put one like that. Oh, excuse me. Shim. And then our bearing with the sleeve section of it going down, and then the other part of it the opposite direction, and then another shim on there. And basically what we've done is made a groove here for our belt to ride on. And then we'll do our second one, much in the same way, actually exactly in the same way. So we're going to put our shim on, and then our bearing, and our other bearing, and then our shim again, like so. And that will leave us with our two sections like that. Good to go. And brings us back to our screen here. All right, so where do we go from here? From here, it looks like we're going to go ahead and we're going to be attaching our top sections to what we already have. So we just built the bearings here with these bearing stacks. Again, shim, bearing, inverted bearing, shim. And then the same thing on the other side. These are both identical on either one of these two parts. And then we're going to be putting the tops on them next. Okay, so we're going to do that. What we're going to do it next, we're going to begin the printer. We're going to preload some nuts. So while we're doing that, let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. Let's see here. So looks like on the longer one here, with the longer block on the bottom, it's getting the smaller. Let's see if I get this camera right here. So we have these two here that we just built. One is taller than the other, and the taller one is actually going to get the smaller tops to it, and the smaller one is going to get the taller hat to it. So basically when it all comes said and done, they're going to be the same height. And what we've done here is we offset the bearings on these. So this is because it's going to be a the way the drive is here on AB, your belts are going to pass by each other, and this difference in height much to be in similarity with the difference in where we place the bearings on our printer. Let me get to this camera here, where these are also at different heights, with this bearing being driven on the bottom here, and this one here being on the top. We're kind of matching that, if you would, with these here. So pretty much we're going to do that like so, and then that. That through. That like so. Okay. There we go. All right, get that all the way through. Those bearings right there should still turn freely once everything's screwed together. They're meant to move, so that's what we're looking at here. Again, they're offset, but they are the same height when you get completed. All right, so next step we have is we're going to be putting our sections on the top of our printer. Now, I did cheat a little bit here. It says preload M3 nuts on this diagram, but doesn't exactly tell you what they're for. So what they are for are pretty much these latches right here. So you do need 4 here, 4 nuts. However, you do not need anything here on the other side. The other side is blank. So they are going to go, if you're looking at your printer, they're going to go on the left hand side to be there for these two, or these four bolts here, but nothing on the other side. So do keep that in mind when you're working on your printer. All right, so we know by chance, or by not chance, not luck, but by looking at that this is going to be the left-hand side. What we don't know exactly is which of the stacks we just made is on this side. So we're going to go a little bit further down, and we're going to see this one right here. We see the shorter bottom here versus this longer bottom here. So we know that this one that we're going to do first is actually the one that is actually standing up higher up. So the one that's higher up is going to be on the left-hand side of our printer. So let's grab that real quick. So the one that's higher up on the bottom, this guy right here, this one versus this one, see the difference between the two, is going to be the one, I'm quite sure, that goes over here. And I'm just going to quickly give it a couple turns like so. Let's show you what that looks like. And now all the instructions, we're going to preload some M3 nuts with our nut holders here. So we're going to load up 4 of those in here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 3, and now 4. All right. So we got 1, 4. Yep. So there we go. We got all 4 of those in. We'll need those in a bit. A little bit down the line, that's where they're going. And then back to putting this guy on. It says, take a look here, it says, actually I want to give you that, screws are fastened into the preloaded nuts. Slide the nuts into position prior to placing the part. Use a skewer to align them with the screw hole. So to me, what that means basically is that we're going to slide this preloaded nut right here, and you can use whatever you have handy to do that. And pretty much be looking to place this right about where we think it should be. We're going to need another M3 by 35. I'm going to grab that real quick, and I'm going to actually place that through the hole before I place this on the printer itself. And I'm going to line that one up and actually give that one a couple turns. I don't want tight, but I do want it in that nut. And then because that's movable, it's going to allow me to then slide that nut using the part to get our second screw into our extrusion. So there we go. All right, those 2 right there. Perfect. All right, so that's that one. And now we're doing the second one, much the same fashion. We're going to be placing this near where we're going to need it. About there. We're going to put our screw in to our idler here. Preparation. I'm going to get a thread or 2 on there. Actually, this might be a better view. Yeah, I get a thread or 2 onto that nut, just so I know it's holding there. Then I'm going to use this part to actually slide it to where I know it needs to go, which is right here to the end. And I don't really have to fuss with the alignment of that nut at that point, because I can move it with the part and put the part into place where it needs to go for the final resting spot before I tighten it up. And tighten it up, I did. Go ahead and get that a little bit tighter though on that. A little tighter on this other one. Okay. Remember, this is plastic. We're going into metal. And don't have to say it, but I'm sure we all know that when you're going plastic versus metal, metal's going to win. Especially ABS. Even though this is aluminum. All right, back to our screen here again. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? Okay, so At this point, they want us to check our work. They want us to basically do a top view and a side view. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Let's do, let's see, they got this top down view right here. And what they're showing you in that top view, if I can position this properly for you, is they are showing you the bevels on these and the directions they're facing. So ours are facing the right direction, so they're slanted outwards. So smaller on the inside, bigger on the outside, screwed in that way. And then they're also showing us from what looks like a side view, is they're showing us where our bearings are in conjunction with our, this way you can see it, our bearings are in conjunction with our other bearings. It looks like on this side with the spacer, we are lined up. I don't know if that shows up in video properly. Let me grab a ruler real quick to show you. So basically we're lined up here so that when we come straight across, everything is kind of in alignment within, probably within about, I don't know, well within what we need to be. So we got that one. I'm gonna spin it around, see if the manual actually shows us spinning it around. Nope, they do not, but we're gonna spin it around, take a look at it, and we're gonna look at this side too. And again, we're right where we want to be. These are all lining up. Perfect. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this pretty much brings us to the end of this very short section. Do want to make a note real quick on next upcoming videos. We're going to continue to work on our 0.1 printer, but I also have a review and some information on this SKR Pico. We're going to be putting that actually into this printer. We're not using the board that came with the printer kit. We're going to put that Pico in there. Big shout out to Big Tree Tech for sending that out to me to take a look at and test it out. So I'll have a video coming out quick on that, on specifications and kind of an overview of that board. And we're going to bring it soup to nuts, installing Clipper on that and getting that all done 100%. So I guess with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, do hit that subscribe button, do hit that like button, and I will catch you next time. Thanks.